back in 2006 and 2007. You probably would have to hire a consultant, pay them, develop an interim solution, knowing that DOT is a long ways from actually building that project. We're talking 20 years. Your residents are going to be using the same highway for the next 20 years probably. And do a study. It might be the state comes up with the same solution. It has to be logical. What are your goals? What do you want to do? Is it going to improve mobility, reduce accidents? And you do a study and come up with a solution. Then you would have to take that to WashDOT and to RTC, get it into the plans, and then we can seek funding. It's not a short process. It will take a couple of years. That's really your four options as I see it. But it's really a city council decision on how you want to proceed on this. You could bring in experts to talk to you about roundabouts. You can bring in experts to talk to you about the interchanges. You can bring in all sorts of people, but it's really you as a city council. What direction do you want to give staff?
The portion of the highway that's being constructed with the gas tax money over in the Canvas,
Yes.
Port of Washougal area, that roadway is being lifted 20 feet, is that correct?
I'm not sure of the details of the design, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth.
I think part of it's being,
Yeah,
It has to go, has to go
Union-
up.
Under
yeah,
over.
Union will raise up a Union, it'll be about, I think it's about 20 feet, not approximately, but
Right.
then it'll come back down after it goes over Second.
I knew it would raise up, but I just don't know the height.
Okay, so it is being raised to be able to create the interchanges on both sides.
At Union.
And
There's also a pass-through, an underpass at Second Street to connect with Wesley Ford. There's no interchange there. The last design that I saw, we were almost back to ground level at Sixth.
I'm not sure the details. I thought originally, I don't know, Sheriff, if you're any more familiar with that, but I thought it was kind of a split interchange. So if you're coming from the east, you'd get off at Second.
Right.
And if you're going from the west, you get off at Union. So it kind of function.
That's correct. Yeah.
But that project is scheduled to start later this fall, is my understanding. And that's going to really resolve a lot of the current backup on 14.
What's the
Really.
last estimate on cost for that project? 58 million.
Yeah, I think that's what the funding came through the state, and that's what the project cost was. They had to pull the bridge up because it was throwing it out of budget.
Yeah, the
And
Slough
that's what
Bridge
we
is
got
not
to-
being widened as part of this project. They're basically putting a center median up it.
yeah, and at least talking to Bart, they're still in the property acquisition phase, so I don't expect to see anything, no shovel in the ground for months yet.
It probably, my understanding is, yeah, the shovel in the ground won't start till next year.
Right.
They might go to add this year.
So Dale, I have a question. If
Sure.
we were to take, I guess I've always had a question as to why we had SR 14 roundabouts on our TIP program, which is pretty much, our city focus. If we were to pull that from the TIP, then are you saying that basically it would pull the plug on the project in general, even interchange-wise?
It really wouldn't have much impact. It's really more the direction you give to your city staff. If the city staff stop pursuing it, it's not going to go anywhere. And one way to do that is to pull it off your plans. It would still be in the long-range plan, and if the city decided all of a sudden they wanted to pursue it, they could go after a grant and say it's in our regional transportation plan, our metropolitan transportation plan, money. But it would be at the direction of the city, I would assume.
So the implication of pulling it from our plan would be that the interchange solution would stay as it's shown on this
Yes,
document.
and the roundabouts would still be in the document on its second page. But if the city's not pursuing it, it doesn't matter if it's in the plan. You could go to the process to remove it. That would be a good idea, but I would say there is an issue on SR 14. There's congestion, and it's going to grow over years. There's safety issues. Those intersections have accident problems. I think the real question is, what is the long-term solution? Or what is the interim solution? We know the long-term solution. Let me get that right. We don't know what the interim solution is. It's the problem.
Can I make a comment? On your long-term solution, whatever is decided, I mean, the port will support most likely anything that you guys decide to do, and we want to voice that, decision, whatever you guys do, so we can move forward, but, if you decide to move forward with, for example, improvement at 32nd or improvement at 15th, we're gonna preach to the choir while we're up in Olympia to make sure that those funds, and people start hearing about what's gonna happen, what needs to be happening down here on SR 14, because, I mean, it benefits the city, it benefits the port.
But what we can't have is the city saying one thing and the long-range plan saying a different thing. So, you know, you need data to back up whatever direction you want to go. You need to have engineers look at it and really come up with a solution. We don't want, you know, to put in ramps that are going to jump over the intersection or some way out idea that's not going to work, you know. You need to develop it and have engineering to support that solution. Ultimately, that's what needs to happen.
And the current status of the engineering solution, or an interim solution, is the roundabout.
Yes.
So it's gone through that process and been vetted, it was washed out.
Yes.
And actually, I was looking for the document that had the dates on it, and I couldn't find it, but even the roundabout piece was out probably 10 years, do you remember?
What do you mean, 10 years for it to be constructed?
Yeah, even like in design phase. I mean, I do remember a document where they had timelines assigned to every project that was.
Roundabouts could be constructed fairly shortly. If you had the money, it's currently estimated to be an $11 million improvement. 11 million versus 119 million. 11 million, if you had $11 million, it could be designed to construction, I would say, within 5 years.
Did someone refresh my memory, didn't we in the last budget eliminate the $75,000 holding for the roundabout on SR 14? Out of the budget, there was a placeholder in there, I think it was like 75,000.
There, it wasn't in narrative in the previous budgets, having a $75,000 just in the cover page that was identified as SR 14. And there wasn't really other than detail other than $75,000 SR 14.
That, what didn't make it in this year's budget?
No, that narrative is not in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul.
Given that the 6th Street through Union Street project is in the pipeline, I mean, it's funded, it's gonna happen. If you were to guess, where would you put widening that high bridge in terms of a priority as opposed to
You mean the Slough Bridge?
the West Bridge? Yeah. The one that's gonna be left as 2 lanes. Where does that fit in terms of priority as opposed to the east end of SR 14, just before it goes into the scenic area?
I think generally, if you can fix a gap, you're much better off than to make an improvement further down the line. So I would say that fixing that bridge should still be a priority over the east end, just because the number of people it serves. There's more traffic the further west you go. It's gonna be, I think, an issue when it's constructed that traffic's gonna slow down as it approaches a 1-lane bridge. It's 2 lanes on each end, you know, kind of.